deflated?
Do you have any proof that Mr. Condon slashed your tires?
I do not at this point.
This is the only point. This is my point.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Christine Morricone is suing her ex-boyfriend, Matthew Condon, for slashing her tires and disposing of 2 of her bicycles.
Order. All rise. It's case number 83 on the calendar in the matter of Morricone versus Condon.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Morricone, you and the defendant were in a relationship. That relationship terminated when?
Terminated on April, no, I'm going to say right after Christmas.
Well, right after Christmas also would be April, but
no,
it's kind of an odd way of saying it.
December 28th, 2018.
Had you lived together?
No.
It is your claim that Mr. Condon slashed the tires on your car. That's one of your claims. On what date do you allege that that happened?
On April 11th or 12th.
3 months and some days after you broke up.
Yes, he was in... Yes.
That was
yes,
some
Your Honor.
3 months later. Now, you didn't see him slash your tires, so you must have some other proof that he slashed your tires because Mr. Condon unequivocally denies it.
Okay. Well, the relationship between us for the past year and a half has been very tumultuous.
Listen to me. I don't care about any of that. That's not this. That's not this program. This is a fact-based court program.
Okay.
You allege somewhere between April 11th and April 12th that Mr. Condon slashed your tires. And it's not up to him to prove that he didn't do it. It's up to you to give me some evidence that he did do it. The fact that you had a tumultuous relationship with him for a year and a half is not it.
Okay.
Do you have any direct proof that Mr. Condon slashed your tires?
No, I do not at this point.
No, this is the only point. This is my point. This is the time
No, I do not at this point. My case is the return of the bicycles that he has of mine that he's refused to return to me.
So you're withdrawing the allegation of the slashed tires?
Well, the slashed tires was not part of this whole allegation. This allegation was for the bicycles give back to me. That's what the allegation is. And that was after. That was after he slashed the tires.
Just a second. You say in your complaint the very next morning after something happened, I woke up and my tires were slashed.
Right.
What do we talk about that for?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Okay.
You know,
well, you signed it. I didn't write it. Believe me, I didn't write it.
Okay.
Okay, so you stored 2 bicycles with him when?
In the fall of 2018, prior to him going to Florida for 3 months.
Give me the month.
November.
That's a question mark. Is it November?
November, Your Honor.
And the 2 of you broke up in December of 2018.
Correct.
Where was he storing your bicycles?
In his mother's commercial building, in the basement. He said to me... Yeah.
And they were stored in his mother's building when he left to Florida in November, and you were still a couple.
Yes.
Yes. And then you broke up December 28th. When did you make the first demand for the bicycles?
On April 25th. He came back from Florida right before Easter.
Okay, so between January, February, March, and up until April 25th, you had made no request for the bicycles?
No.
Okay. And tell me how you earned the bicycles on April 25th.
Via email.
May I see it, please?
Yes.
Well, you say to him, I want to make arrangements to get the 2 bikes. And he says, you told me to get rid of everything. Everything is gone.
That's a lie. I am...
Are the bicycles in your...
No, they are not, Your Honor.
Okay. I'd like to know when you went to your mother's building to get them.
Well, can I start off with some of her facts?
No.
Well, I'm not going to be able to lay out my defense?
No. Listen, this is not some Supreme Court case.
No, I understand that, but this is our breakup date. You know, here it is in writing.
Pay careful attention. I have an email from her in April, an email from you saying you told me to get rid of everything, and I did.
There's a complete police report on April 25th, ma'am. if you like to look at it.
No, I want you to answer
This
my
is
question.
evidence.
I'll look at it. I want you to answer my questions.
Well-
This is my playpen,
Right.
not your playpen.
I get
My
that.
playpen.
I get that, Your Honor.
I asked you a very simple question. When did you remove the bikes from your mother's commercial
April
basement?
12th.
Else out of the storage other than the bikes?
Just
Did
out
you
of this-
take anything?
This is all that I had.
Just a second. I'm speaking. Did you take anything else out of the storage? The answer is either a
No.
yes or a no. So you just removed the 2 bikes.
Right.
And you have a key to the storage.
Yes.
And tell me what you did with the bikes on April 11th.
I brought the bikes to my residency.
And that is in what state? That wasn't Florida.
New York State.
New York State. And from your home, what did you do with the bikes?
I chained them up in the yard.
Is that where they remain, or did they move?
They moved.
To where?
They moved approximately 2 weeks later. I went back to check on the bikes, and somebody had gotten to the bikes and tried to steal them. So I put the bikes in front of my yard with a free sign on it because I had not heard from Miss Marconi in over 2 weeks about these bikes.
Okay. So now I'm going to look at the police report. On what day did you come from Florida, sir, to New York?
April 11th at 9 p.m.
Just a second. So
I-
it was.
I have an
just-
email.
Just a second.
Oh. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did you, on or immediately before the plaintiff pick you up at the airport? That's a question that requires a yes
Yes.
or a no.
Yes.
Okay. On what date did you ask, before you know where I'm going, your answer was yes. You asked her to pick you up from the airport, and you arrived home on April 11th from
Right.
Florida. You landed at what airport?
Stewart International Airport, Newburgh, New York.
And what time, do you remember what time you arrived?
9 p.m.
So you have all that good information. That's
Oh, yeah.
a great thing. On what date had you communicated with the plaintiff to ask her if she would pick you up at the airport?
Ma'am, I don't remember what the date was.
Just a second. Just a
Okay.
second. Was it within the week?
It was in a 2-month period with which we were communicating on the phone.
Okay, so while you were communicating on the phone, listen, my question to you is, if you and the plaintiff had been sort of on the outs since the end of December and were communicating by phone, we all know when you come back, especially when you fly into Stewart, you don't have to make your reservation 2 months in advance. So my question to you is, on what day, within 3 or 4 days prior to your arriving, did you ask the plaintiff to pick you up at the airport?
I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
But I do have this, you do have to look at this email.
You to pick him up at the airport?
We made arrangements probably, I'm going to say around December 1st.
Okay, may I see the email, please?
That's the breakup date, January 10th.
Fine, it doesn't matter. In the scheme of things, it doesn't matter. I'm just sort of interested, Mr. Condon, why on April 11th you found it, which was the day that you arrived,
Yeah.
why you found it necessary to go to storage and get the 2 bikes and chain them to the backyard.
Because, Your Honor, I told her, we had a phone conversation after she broke up with me in a text message and said she didn't want anything to do with me on the 11th in the morning, on April 11th in the morning, out of nowhere, after we've been talking for 2 months, she had sent me a text message telling me she's been thinking about things and she's uneasy about getting back together with me.
So?
Okay? But for the last 2 months, we've been talking on the phone about it.
Yeah.
So I told her, I picked up the phone and I called her and I said, I would like you to get your things tomorrow from my possession. Otherwise, I'm going to get rid of them. She said, I don't have anywhere. And that's
Then
what,
why-
so I
then
held
why-
the things
then
for
why-
another 2 weeks.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I
No.
held, this was the 12th, ma'am.
No.
I held
No,
the
you
things
didn't.
in my possession for 2 more weeks.
No, you didn't. They weren't doing anything from the 11th to the 25th in your mother's basement that they hadn't been doing from November to April. You were angry, and that's why you went and got them. You were angry.
No,
You got in?
I did. I told her I didn't want anything to do with her
No,
anymore.
anymore.
I have emails to the effect.
Well, that's fine. Do you have an email from her saying, get rid of the bikes.
No, I don't.
Right. Timing is just too coincidental, sir. And the one thing that you get to know when you get old, and you're not there yet, of course, is that there are very few coincidences in life.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When did you buy these bikes? Show me the receipts.
I don't have the receipts.
If you don't have proof, you don't have anything. The bikes are worth $50 a piece. That's it, unless you have a receipt.
And later today,
You're suing them for illegally locking you out of your house, on which you paid no rent.
I did pay rent.
Well, off and on when welfare didn't.
Okay, it's still paying rent.
No, that's not you paying rent. That's me paying rent.
real cases, real...
Coney says ex-boyfriend Matthew Condon slashed her tires and got rid of 2 of her bicycles. Matthew is countersuing for the return of his belongings.
Now, when did you buy these bikes?
One bike,
Show me the receipts.
I don't have the receipts. One of the bikes I bought off of eBay, a brand new bike from a woman. I met her at Paramus.
Listen, I don't believe. If you don't have proof, you don't have anything. The bikes are worth $50 a piece, and he got rid of them, and he got rid of them maliciously. That's it. Unless you have a receipt. A receipt.
I have receipts of what it's going to cost me to replace them.
$100. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you.
Excuse me, I got a counter plaintiff.
You got
I got a counter lawsuit on her.
Because you stayed over at the house a lot and she threw away some of your stuff?
Yes.
Goodbye.
Whoa, 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 Your Honor. One of these things are a medication worth $1,000.
What, the Viagra?
Okay. Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's vindictive, he's a liar, he's a thief.
She's constitutionally incapable of honesty.
I deserve better.
I'm just glad that this is over with so I can move on with my life and be done with her for good.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hollingsworth versus Adams. Step forward.
James Hollingsworth, Judy Adams, for an illegal lockout, the return of property, and the return of his dog.
Mr. Hollingsworth, are you currently married to the defendant's daughter?
We're separated.
But you're married?
Yes.
And in what year were you married?
2006?
Do you have any children?
No.
In what year did you move in with your in-laws?
They moved in with us.
So it was your house?
No, it's their house, but their daughter lived there. They lived up the mountain.
In what year did you move into their house?
2004.
Were you working?
Off and on.
Were you paying the Adamses any rent?
Yes.
How much?
400 plus maintenance.
$400 per month. And who paid the rent when you weren't working?
Welfare.
How long did welfare pay the rent?
I don't know. I don't know exactly how long. It's all been broken up from the time I worked with them.
You and your wife are currently separated.
Yes.
And your wife remains with her parents?
Yes.
And you're suing them for illegally locking you out of your house?
Yes.
On which you paid no rent?
I did pay rent.
Well, off and on when welfare didn't.
Okay, it's still paying rent.
No, that's not you paying rent. That's me paying rent.
Same
That's
thing.
Bird
Same
paying
thing.
rent. That's not you paying rent.
I don't see what that has to do with this now. They locked me out. I pay rent. They locked me out. They denied me my stuff. They kept my dog.
Wife in her parents' house, and you have a fight and separate from your wife.
I didn't separate from my wife.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
You just told me that you and your wife are separated.
Yeah, she filed separation paperwork after I moved out. After they locked me out, actually.
Mr. Hollingsworth, you're not getting money for locking you out of a house that's their house that you lived in for you, rent-free.
It wasn't rent-free.
Mr. Hollingsworth, let's move on now. Let's talk about your dog. The dog. In what year was the dog either purchased or rescued?
He was born 14 years ago from his mom that I own too.
2 hard dogs.
Shh, just a second. And so...
I have a text message right here from their daughter saying, we can't afford to feed your dog, bring me money. It's my dog.
Mr. Hollingsworth, when you are divorced from your wife, the judge in court will decide whose dog it is. Right now, if it's your dog and you have been together with her since 2004, married since 2006, the dog is marital property over which I have no jurisdiction. That will be handled.
True.
Yeah, it's true. That's what I'm telling you. That's the law.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want to know what it is that you are asking for specifically. Do anything for me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
James Hollingsworth says his estranged in-laws, Alvin and Judy Adams, illegally locked him out and stole his property, including his dog.
Now, I'd like you to tell me the last thing in your complaint is your personal property. Now, that they can't take from you. When you left, what personal property, not marital property, personal property, did you leave in the house?
Everything. I didn't have anything. They locked the locks. I went home, and they wouldn't let me in, and I have nothing. They kept my clothes and everything.
Mr. Adams, do you have any of Mr. Hollingsworth's clothes?
No,
clothes. Do you know where his clothes are, sir?
He left. He came back the next morning. He got clothes. He come back the second day, packed up his clothes, and
That's
left.
not true. I have a police report saying that they said I left in January.
We never talked to the police about that. And on the 29th,
Police report says
month?
you
or
did.
26th,
Don't speak.
On the 26th of February, I texted him telling him that he was not allowed on my property unless he texts me, and he could come and get anything that he had left there.
He never texted me anything.
May I see? Okay. Your wife's name is Lisa?
Yes.
On March the 9th, sorry to bother you, but Lisa's been putting me off all day. Do you remember texting him that?
Yes.
On March 9th? What was that about?
I'm trying to see my dog. And the police report right here says that they told the police that I left in January and that I took all my stuff with me. So which is it? Which is he not telling the truth about?
I want to know what it is that you are asking for specifically back.
All my property.
That doesn't do anything for me. You don't have any property that's yours.
Yes, I
If you've
do.
been married, listen to me, that's yours unless you tell me what it is. If you say to me, I have my birth certificate, my watch,
I
my
have
shoes,
a list of that stuff.
other than those things, that comes under the auspices of a divorce with your wife, with whom you lived in this house for many years, according to you, when they didn't even live there, even though it's their house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us.
It's my personal property.
I'd like to see it. Then I'll ask item by item. Where are you living now, Mr. Hollingsworth?
Kind of bouncing between my coworker and a friend.
So they have your car?
They had my car. It's not there anymore. I drove by. It's not there.
It can't be your car. This is marital property, sir. It's something that a divorce court is going to take care of.
My name was on the pink slip.
Missing list of property.
That's all the property that I believe is mine that is not hers.
Okay.
Together. I didn't
Do
list
you
any
have-
property that's community.
Do you have either one of two suits, a Pierre Cardin suit and a Stafford suit,
No, ma'am.
and 12 pairs of black ankle socks? Do you have that?
No, ma'am.
They don't have it. They don't have it. I don't know whether your wife has it.
They
Did
do
you?
have it. They control the house. They told her not to give me anything. I have a text for that, too.
Mr. Hollingsworth, I suggest that you get a lawyer filed for divorce. A marital judge who hears your divorce will decide what of this property, if it exists, is marital property and what is your individual property, and the court will rule accordingly. Do you understand? That's not my job.
Whatever.
Bye.
Why is that you? Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
They locked me out.
She did exactly what I thought would happen.
I want my dog back.
That dog,
But they won't, nobody's going to give him to me.
we had the mother and father of the pup when it was born.
Yeah, there's time to get a lawyer.
I want him out of our life.
If a relationship doesn't work out, you're not supposed to be a jerk.
Playing mind games with his ex?
Is this a new girlfriend?
Yes, it is.
Other than to bring her here to be annoying, is there any reason that she's here?
But it's the judge who has all the fun.
Or she could leave. Feel better?
I do.
It is my mission in life.
This is Judge Judy.
Corinna Botti is suing her ex-boyfriend, Ronald Parentozzi Jr., for car lease fees, impound and registration fees, and tickets.
Order. All rise. Now, it's case number 234 on the calendar in the matter of Abadi versus Parentozza. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
Miss Abadi, this used to be your boyfriend. He's not your boyfriend anymore, which should probably view as some sort of a blessing. But while you were together, and despite the fact that you, your grandmother, your aunt, your uncle have probably been watching, you made the #1 cardinal sin when you were with the idiot, which is you co-signed for a lease on a car for him as the primary. Then you split, and now it's cost you a whole lot of money.
Correct.
Paratosa,
Yes, ma'am.
this a new girlfriend?
Yes, it is.
Other than to bring her here to be annoying so that she could wear this strapless dress, right? Is there any reason that she's here?
Yeah, witness to the harassment to my family.
You have no cause of action for harassment to your family, so Berg, she could leave.
Sure. Ma'am, this way.
Tell her to get a shawl. Feel better?
I do.
It's my mission in life. You see, Mr. Parazota, if a relationship doesn't work out, you're not supposed to be a jerk. Now, I know that's sometimes hard for men not to be jerks. There are some men who aren't jerks. Bird is not a jerk. But anybody who's been in a relationship with somebody who has been nice to them and co-signing for a car for you so that you could drive a car, drive it into the ground, make it disgusting, which is precisely what she alleges that you did here. And then when the two of you agreed to try this case in this court, they said you have no counterclaim, so that there's no real reason for her to be here, just to be an annoying jerk.
Well, as a witness to harassment to my mother, to my grandmother.
Listen to me. You don't have a counterclaim for harassment, so I don't give a rat's behind who she's harassed. Do you understand?
Yep.
Yup is not an answer.
Yes.
Yes is an answer.
And I like the proof and evidence to see where she says that I ran the car into a ground, because when I left it to the police to be impounded, it was in pristine condition.
You left
So
it
I
to
like
the
to see
police
that.
be impounded. Did you smoke anything this morning?
No, Your Honor.
I'm just asking you. Because, you know, the reaction that I'm getting from you is a little bit fuzzy, hazy. And maybe before you came on the program, I don't know, is marijuana legal here in California now?
Yes, it is.
So it's not illegal to do that.
Yeah, I have a job that requires drug testing, though.
Well, hair or urine?
Both.
Really?
Yeah, I work with the police.
Oh, my God. Anyway, she leased a car. You didn't have any money. That's when you were together. You split. You took the car. In what month and year did you take the car?
April.
See what I mean about
Your
that
Honor,
smoking?
I have the answer. 30th, 2016. We split in October 2017. And he...
You mean he leased the car in April?
Leased the car of May 2016 was the start of the lease.
Fine. May, so now you
We
remember.
broke up August
Now you...
of 2017.
And you broke up 2017, and you've had...
And I've had the car...
Shh. You're a police officer?
No, never said that.
Oh. You work for the police. What do you do for them?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't pertain to this.
What do you do for them? You mentioned it. I want to know...
Communications, antennas, satellites, fire and police.
Got it. Okay. And the two of you lived in what state, Miss Abadi?
We lived in New Jersey.
And where did you take the car to? Also in New Jersey?
Yes.
When you left, the car was on a lease, which means it had to be paid for. And how much was the monthly payment on the car?
$282.
And in what month and year was the car impounded?
It was this year,
Your Honor, I have the answer to
July. July of this year.
July 2019. And why was the car impounded?
Because there was no registration on the car. There was no registration due to the registration being sent in the mail to her address of it instead of sending it to me to try to take care of the registration.
Well, it's a very good way to get your interest, sir, because let me tell you what happens. If you are the primary person on a car, if you, while in your perfectly sober state, or your girlfriend in the midriff is driving the car and is in an accident, she, along with you or midriff, is responsible for the damage.
Yes, and when did you have the car registered?
I'm speaking. Which means that it's a very good way of getting your attention. which is you may be paying for the lease. And I don't know if you were paying for the lease, but I assume you were paying for the lease on the car because otherwise they would have repossessed the car. But what she wanted you to do is, since you're not together as a couple anymore and you and Miss Midriff are now a couple, she said, get the car out of my name. Trade it in, turn it over so that you can, the two of you, because I assume Miss Midriff has a job. You told me that you have a job with the police department, so I would assume that you have enough money to get a car to pay off $282 a month for the lease on a car. So you can do that. You chose not to do that. What you chose to do is keep it. She said, he thinks I'm going to send him the registration on this car. Now, he works for the police department. Maybe they'll pull him over and they'll take the car away, and that's the way I'm going to get the car back so that I don't have to worry that do you have a job?
Yes, I do.
That they're going to garnish my wages because Miss Midriff had an accident while she was texting on the phone.
Well, me being the co-signer on the lease, I was the only one who could drive the car, so I was the only one driving.
Just a second. And I'm telling you that I don't believe the fact that you would not have, maybe didn't, but would not have let, under the appropriate circumstances, Miss Midriff borrow your car. So whether you, who are certainly not under the influence of any unknown substance today, are driving in the car and have an accident, she's responsible. And she doesn't get the benefit
With me
of
having the insurance on the car, she's responsible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. She's responsible. As much as you are. And if you hit a woman walking with her triplets in a stroller and there is a verdict against you, first of all, they wouldn't just sue you, they would sue you and her.
Being the co-owner, signing her rights to it, yes, you're right.
Oh, thank you. Being validated by you is the high point of my day. How much did it cost you to get this car out of impound?
Cost me $230.
How much in tickets did the car have on it?
Car had about...
Not about, I don't want to hear about.
It had $200 worth of tickets on it.
Can I see it,
For
please?
the registration, which she refused to give me, which I have proof of her
I'm not asking you a question.
All right. I don't owe her for impound. I don't owe her for tickets. The tickets are in her name.
That's why we're here. Well, first of all, these are for tolls.
He was driving through tolls.
Tolls that weren't paid, so that...
That Easy Pass needs to clear up. I don't owe her the money for Easy Pass failing to comply with.
Where did you have to go to get the car?
I had to fly home to New Jersey. I live in Georgia.
How much did that cost you?
Cost me over $400.
May I see it, please?
Sure.
The only reason she flew
I
up
didn't ask you anything. Chill out. Actually, $419. What'd you do with the car?
I returned it to the dealership.
How much were you charged?
I was charged $4,768.
May I see it, please?
Sure.
Court's maximum capacity to enter a judgment in your favor is $5,000. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The police department called me when it had been impounded.
The car was impounded because she contacted the police and they had a setup.
It was disgusting. It smelled like an ashtray.
To where when I left the one morning, they pulled me over right in front of my house.
It had urine bottles all over the back seat.
And they impounded it right there.
It was just trashed.
I still don't believe that I owe her anything.
It's time for him to buy his own damn car.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Felder versus Love, step forward.
23-year-old Quintarius Felder is suing his former friend, 23-year-old Kayla Love, for an illegal eviction, the return of rent, and moving expenses.
Mr. Felder, you were living with the defendant in her house as a roommate.
Yes, ma'am.
You'd known her for a while.
Correct.
And you moved in with her when?
July 2018.
And you had known her from before?
Yes, ma'am. We went to middle school and high school together.
And everything was fine?
Everything was perfect.
Just a second. But At some point, an arrangement which had been fine for several years, you paid your rent, you lived together nicely, something happened.
Right.
Would you like to tell me your version of what happened and when?
Of course. On July 12th, I was at work. Miss Love texted me, asked me if I was going home because she didn't want to leave the 2 dogs. I have a dog, Jay. She has a dog, Powder. She asked me if I was coming home because she didn't want to leave the dogs by themselves. Okay, that's understandable. I told her to leave my dog at the house, and she can take her dog. With her mother, at her mother's house, she has 2 other dogs. If you didn't want Powder...
Slowly.
Sorry, I have a lot of anger in me.
So, I have a lot of anger. My back hurts, though, so I'm trying to keep my anger under control and smiling because I understand I look better when I smile, Mr. Felder. So I want you to try to get rid of the anger.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why don't you give him back his dog?
Because that dog is like my child, and we both agreed I would keep both dogs.
Just because you say that dog is like your child, I don't care. Is this your mother?
Yes.
Don't look at me like I'm crazy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Quintarius Felder claims former friend Kayla Love illegally evicted him. He is suing for the return of rent and moving expenses.
So let me understand this. She called you and said, listen, can you come home early and take care of both dogs? I don't want to leave them home alone. I'm not going to. You said, you know what? You can leave my dog home.
Correct.
Take your dog to your mother's. My dog will be fine home.
Correct.
And?
So she said, I'm taking both of them. So I told her, once again, once I get to Fayetteville, which is where her mothers live, I was going to go and get my dog. She said she was going to, basically, you will see the cops. Good luck trying to get him. I had those text messages, Your Honor.
Just a second. Had you been having trouble with her before?
No, ma'am.
This was just a snit at the moment.
I feel like our friendship kind of changed when I got my car because she got jealous. You know, I felt like she was jealous, but nobody was jealous when she got her car. So all that changed.
So you went to her mother's house to get your dog?
Correct, with the cops.
With the police?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get your dog?
I did not.
You have your dog now?
I do not. We went to court for him. The court order for her to give me my dog back, she appealed. I have the court order with me as well.
The judge directed that you get the dog back?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. You're not, and this happened in July.
Yes, ma'am, July 12th.
Why don't you give him back his dog?
Because that dog is like my child, and we both agreed when I got another dog so that his dog could have company, and then we agreed when we moved out that I would keep both dogs. Then he changed his mind.
Well, in July, there was no problem.
No.
Just a second. In July, Miss Love, there was no problem. And it's clear from what I'm hearing that he had one dog, you had the other, but they were playmates. They played together. They liked each other. And in July, prior to July 12th, there was no issue. The issue arose on July 12th. And just because that you say that dog is like your child, I don't care. Neither, I hope, will anybody else. You heard this case before a judge, and the judge told you to give back the dog. Just answer my question. Did the judge tell you to give back the dog?
He did, but I have vet records.
Just a second. The judge told you to give back the dog. Is this your mother?
Yes.
Don't look at me like I'm crazy. She's crazy.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're being a bad mother to an animal that you like. Because you say, he can't tell me that I can't take both dogs to visit my mother. I'll show him. You're going to be met by the police. Something wrong with you. Are you an only child?
Real cases.
Quintarius Felder claims former friend Kayla Love illegally evicted him. He is suing for the return of rent and moving expenses.
Because if the judge told you to give that back the dog, let me tell you what you're doing. By not returning Mr. Felder's dog to him, the longer the dog stays out of his custody, the worse mother you are. Because eventually a set of judges, because right now you probably went before a quasi-judge and you appealed that judgment. But a judge, if they have any brains whatsoever, and you can take this tape with you, is going to say, it's his dog, you have to return the dog. But the longer the dog stays with you, the more difficult it's going to be. And I don't give a rat's behind about you. The more difficult it's going to be for the dog.
I've been taking care of the dog for the year that we've lived together. I have vet records, grooming bills.
Listen to me. Listen to me. This is what I'm telling you. You are being not a good mother, a bad mother. You're being a bad mother to an animal that you like. because you say, I want both of them because they like each other, therefore I'm keeping both. We're not roommates anymore, and therefore I'm taking both. And he can't tell me that I can't take both dogs to visit my mother. I'll show him. You're going to be met by the police. Something wrong with you. Are you an only child?
He was
Just
not.
yes, are you an only child? Sometimes that happens with only
so
children.
Did
I ask you anything?
No, ma'am, you didn't.
Me, the universe. Me, the universe. That's what happens when you have an only child. And sometimes people like an only child. But I'm telling you, why would I ask that question unless... And it doesn't say anywhere here in those papers. But I can tell from your answers. Me, the universe. So after this, she evicted you.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? All right. And you had paid the rent for July.
Yes, ma'am, 2 weeks prior.
Just a second. You had paid $800 for July.
Yes.
You get $800 back. So that's $800. Now, illegal eviction. When you say she illegally evicted you, how did she do that?
She told the cops, as of now, Trina, as of today, you no longer live in Raleigh. I had the locks changed.
Did you have the locks changed on the apartment?
I did after he was threatening
Just
me.
a second. Did you have the locks changed
Yes.
on the apartment? $800, illegal eviction. $1,600 is what you owe him so far.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
You know, judges weren't the smartest bulb in the pack. Over the course of the last 50 years, they've gotten smarter. It's just going to take a long time for him to get his dog back. Somebody is going to give him his dog back, which means that the longer you wait, the greater the separation. When a child is in foster care with another family, the longer that child is in foster care with the other family, the more difficult it is very often for the child to reintegrate to their biological family, even though the foster family says, I love them, they're better off here than with the other, but they're going to go home. And the faster that happens, the better off. And I want you to stop thinking about Miss Love, universe, and the rest of the world revolves around you. It doesn't. There are people smarter, better looking, more sympathetic, make more money, have better careers, do other things that are more enriching to humanity and the right thing to do. And they told you, give him back the dog. I'm telling you, even though it's not before me, give him back the dog. And the way you're shifting your foot and your mother's looking, I don't know, I don't know how she's looking. Miss Love, the universe. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600 with no.
About his time, where he was supposed to leave the next weekend. He was moving out anyway.
Get out.
Okay.
Excuse.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Their dog reached the fence and bit our dog on the nose.
Pictures speak louder than words.
What the defendants have here is compelling evidence to me.
Next Judge Judy.
Nothing really happened. We was best friends. She just wanted to take my dog.
We were best friends for 12 years, but definitely not anymore.
She's not going to take my dog. She thinks she can have anything that she wants, but she's not going to have my dog.
I just learned my lesson, and I will never help anybody again.
Emotional detachment with my dog.
He's drama. That's all it is.
Oh, I'm going to get my dog.
No, he's not getting the dog back.
My husband and I had a brand new 8-week-old puppy at the home.
You left her with the puppy.
A night of dog sitting should have been no big deal.
My husband and I started getting panicked text messages from Amanda.
Then trust turned to tragedy.
When I looked down, there was just blood everywhere. And I tried to do like chest compressions. I didn't really know what to do.
You want her to pay you a whole bunch of money for the death of your puppy.
This is Judge Judy.
Elizabeth, 20-year-old Amanda Clegg, for unpaid loans, hotel costs, and punitive damages for causing the death of her dog.
Order. All rise. It's case number 222 on the calendar in the matter of Meadows versus Clegg.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Miss Meadows, this young lady is your daughter.
That's correct.
How old are you?
20.
And I assume from reading your papers that for most of her life, she did not live with you. Is that right?
That's correct.
Was she in foster care or with a relative?
She was adopted.
At what age?
9 days.
When did you reconnect?
After she turned 18, as it was a closed adoption, so that would have been December of 2017.
And did she reach out to find you?
Her adoptive mother did originally. So.
Originally in what year?
In 2017.
Okay.
So, yes, but her adoptive mother reached out first.
Did you ask your adoptive mother to reach out?
Yes.
Yes. She did it at your request.
Yeah.
That's what I assume. Okay. And then there came a time when you wanted to move, to relocate after you turned 18 to live closer to your mother.
Yeah, she wanted me to, and I eventually decided that would be a good option. It wasn't my original intention.
18 has an original intention.
That's true.
Original intention of somebody who's 18 is wanting to be 19 and have a good time. Did your mother ask you to move? Did you move in with her?
Initially, yes.
Now, one of the things that you're suing for is moving costs. Is that from moving from where she was to come to live with you?
That's part of it, yes.
That's part of it. Yeah. What, are you ridiculous?
I'm sorry?
What, are you crazy? You invite your daughter to live with you, and you want her to pay the moving costs of her to do that? Do you
very
work?
Little of it.
Do you work?
I do.
Was she working?
Eventually, I got her a job.
Not eventually. When she moved in with you,
no,
she wasn't. So she had no money saved up or anything. You said, come move with me, and you sent her money to move. That's what mothers do. Cross off money owed for moving costs. Let's get to the next thing.
Okay.
Unpaid loans. She moved in with you on what date?
I think it was April 21st, 2018.
And what were the loans for?
Everything. I mean, I paid her living expenses as far as I didn't charge her to live with me, and
we're going to give you a big old gold star for that.
I purchased a car for her. So
okay, let's go forward.
$1,000 for a car.
Okay.
Car insurance. Yes.
And she moved in with you on April 21st. In what month and year did you buy her this $1,000 car?
In May.
So the next month?
Yes.
Did she get a job?
She did.
Within that time?
Yeah, it was around that time, yes.
So she came to you. She was 18. She got a job, which is just a lot more than most kids do. What kind of work were you doing?
I worked at the hotel with her. I was a front desk agent.
Great. So you worked at the same place your mother did. Terrific. Okay. Now, listen to me. I don't care about your living expenses, what you paid for food, gas, electric, anything else. If you bought her a jacket, if you bought her pants, if you bought her underwear, I don't care. That's what parents do. You wanted to be her mother. I mean,
I wanted to get her out of an abusive situation. I never intended to have her live with me. It was a sacrifice I made because her adoptive family was abusive, but it wasn't my original intent to have her move in with me now.
So why didn't you just send her money and say you can't come and live with me because of my life circumstance, but I'm going to send you some money to set yourself up someplace else?
She wasn't in a good situation. I didn't feel like she had good people surrounding her.
Well, that's a very good thing for you to do. Money owed for moving, I've crossed that out. Unpaid loans, I've crossed out. Hotel costs.
There were several loans, and, Your Honor, I have bank statements supporting personal loans that I gave her to cover.
Well, I'm asking you I asked you what for. You said for her living expenses, for clothes, for things that she needed every day to live.
They were items that I agreed to lend her money that she agreed
Give me an example.
That she agreed to pay back.
Give me an example of what you bought her.
I gave her money to pay for, again, those same things that you had mentioned, but as a 18, 19-year-old, she agreed to be responsible for her own expenses.
Very
so
nice.
I gave her some...
I asked you next, hotel costs.
Would you like me to jump to the end of the story?
I would like you to jump to hotel costs. I'm going through this in order. It's written here.
Okay.
What hotel?
In June of 2019, this is after she had moved out of the home, my husband and I had a brand new 8-week-old puppy at the home, and we had asked her to dog sit. So she had been moved out for about 6 months at that point in time. And so she came over to the home. She agreed to watch the dog as there were larger dogs in the home, and we wanted to protect the puppy, make sure nothing happened. So later that evening, so my husband and I went out of town for the evening. We got a hotel for the night. We paid for dinner for the evening.
Is that the hotel cost that you're talking about?
That must be it.
Husband bought a dog. Shortly after buying the dog, you left her with the puppy. And because the dog got sick and eventually died, you came home, and what you lost was your hotel room that you had prepaid. Is that the hotel cost that we're talking about?
That is the hotel cost that we're talking about.
That's crossed out. Now, the last thing is you want actual and punitive damages for my dog's death.
Well,
that's the last thing.
I feel like we skipped over quite a bit, Your Honor. I mean,
no, I skipped over nothing. If you don't get it, as a person who is a parent, you may not have been a parent for 18 years, but at a time when a child that you delivered gave up for adoption, which was probably then in her best interest, turned out not so much in her best interest because, according to you, she was living in an abusive situation. So a child that you gave up now finds herself as a teenager living in an abusive household. So you, as a biological parent, agree to help her to come to live with you, even though it's unfortunate because you and your husband, you have children with this husband?
No.
So the two of you, lovebirds, now have an 18-year-old living with you that's interfering with what is otherwise an idyllic life. Gets a job right away, is not living off you, is not laying around on the couch, is not flirting with your husband, is not bringing home pot smokers, is not doing anything terrible. And you are confident enough in her that after she moves out, and she hasn't been with you very long, but you say, this is really not working out. You know, it's interfering. My husband and I running around in our pajamas. What I'm telling you is that you were confident enough. I mean, if you were going away on this trip, which I assume was pre-planned.
Yes.
Yes. Then you don't get a puppy 10 days before. You get a puppy 2 days after you come home. That would have been using your canoodle.
Okay.
Right.
I wasn't super concerned about the dog surviving a one-night stay with an adult.
Well, first of all, a 20-year-old is not an adult.
I believe a 20-year-old is an adult.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 36.
Well, I actually believe that a 36-year-old should be smart enough to know that if they have a pre-planned event that's going to take them away out of town so that they need a hotel room, they don't get a dog 9 days before. They get a dog 10 days later so that they can take care of a new puppy. That's what I think a 36-year-old does. I give a 36-year-old more credit than I do a 20-year-old.
She had watched our other dog previously, and we had not had any issues, so...
Just 1 second, so that she was responsible with the other dog, so you didn't have any problem with the other dog. Right. This time, there was a problem with this puppy, and you want her to pay you a whole bunch of money, actual and punitive damages, for the death of your puppy. Now, since you do not have a vet here, I assume that you want to tell me why you believe she is responsible for the death of your dog and that I should treat her punitively about it. Come on.
So the night that she came to watch the dog, or was supposed to be watching the dog, we were gone for a few hours, and my husband and I started getting some very panicked text messages from Amanda while we were at our event. And so we saw the text messages come through. We knew something was wrong. So my husband called her, and as she told the story, the dogs had been playing together very roughly. And keep in mind, this was a...
What kind of dog is the older dog?
A golden retriever. So...
A golden?
A golden, yes.
So a 60-pound dog?
A 60-pound dog, yes.
I know my dogs. So
You
just a
do.
second. So the 60-pound dog, and what kind of a dog did you bring into the house?
It was a pug.
It was a pug.
Puppy.
So a small, playful dog. And how old a pug did you bring into the house?
She was 8 weeks old.
And how old is the golden?
About a year and a half at the time.
And the golden had been the only dog in the house?
They lived together, 0 issues. The golden was very, very gentle with her. We watched them closely, but that was like her baby.
Was she there at the time during those 10 days?
She
Or
had
just you?
visited once.
So the answer is no. She wasn't living with you for the 10 days that you and your husband were living there.
No.
But you and your husband were living there. So the golden was comfortable enough. I know. I have brought in younger dogs with my older dogs. One of them went into a state of depression and proceeded to put on 5 pounds. She's only supposed to weigh 5 pounds, but walked around miserable because she was unhappy being the only dog for a long time. She went into a depression. Now I have a little dog that's the new puppy, and the new puppy, when there's another little puppy that comes and plays that belongs to one of my grandchildren, she goes into a funk. Well, if you had your golden and it was getting along fine, maybe it was because you and your husband were there. And then when you abandoned the dog with the new puppy...
I would not describe it as abandonment.
Well,
she was very familiar with Amanda.
Just a second. I'm not describing what you may think is abandonment. I'm talking about what a dog thinks is abandonment because you leave. And you leave her alone with this new 8-week-old thing that's running around and playing with its toys and going near its food and all the things that little puppies do that are a little more senior. I want you to tell me, so as soon as there was trouble, your daughter called, text, whatever, and your husband called her. And she said the dogs were playing roughly. Is that what you told me?
Yes.
And?
The dogs were playing roughly, and as Amanda admitted to my husband over the phone...
Not admitted. She said to him on the phone...
that she had done nothing.
Just a second. First of all, your husband's not here. And did you say to your mother's husband that you did nothing?
No. I said there was nothing I could do because... Do you want me to explain how it happened?
Yes, because she wasn't there.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So I panicked, and I had Hunter go and get a towel, and he called 911, and I tried to do, like, chest compressions. I didn't really know what to do, but it died, like, in under a minute.
I got it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Elizabeth Meadows says her daughter, Amanda Clegg, owes for loans, hotel costs, and punitive damages for causing the death of her dog.
Did you say to your mother's husband that you did nothing?
No.
Yes, because she wasn't there.
So we got there, we let the dogs out, and they played for about an hour, and then we...
What do you mean you let them out? Into a yard?
They were in their kennels, because no one was home. And then after about an hour, we sat down and started watching a movie, and they were just at our feet laying. They weren't playing anymore, but I felt like a tug on the blanket, and I thought maybe the puppy wanted to get up on the couch. And then when I looked down, there was just blood everywhere, and it was seizing, and that's why it was tugging on the blanket. And so I panicked, and I had Hunter go and get a towel, and...
That's your boyfriend.
And he called 911, and I tried to do, like, chest compressions. I didn't really know what to do. But it died, like, in under a minute. It was really sad. But after I, like, calmed down enough, I cleaned up the mess. And thank you. I bathed the dog for them so they wouldn't have to see it that way.
Again, take a minute.
And then after I calmed down enough and we had cleaned everything up, I tried to call them and I tried to text them, and neither of them are answering their phones. I tried to track down the hotel they were at, called me back, and I just explained what was happening and how it all happened. And I must have said afterward that there was nothing I could do because there really wasn't.
I got it. I got it. By the time you saw this, was the puppy still alive? Did the puppy ever make it to a veterinary facility?
No, they had animal control on their way to try to help, but it was just, it all happened too fast.
Were you there?
I was.
Want to stand up? Tell me your last name.
Casillas.
You remember that evening?
I do.
Want to tell me your version of what happened?
She asked me to come puppy sit for her mother, and we got to the house. We went into her mother's room, let the dogs out, fed them, let them go outside and go to the bathroom.
Were they in a kennel?
Yeah, they were in separate kennels, yep. And then they were playing underneath our feet while we were watching a movie, and we looked down and the smaller puppy was seizing. I ran to the bathroom, I grabbed a towel, we put pressure on the wound. It just, the only reason that...
Where was the wound?
In its head. That's why it seized, that's why it died so fast. It went straight into its brain. And Amanda was crying and giving it chest compressions while I was on the phone with 911 trying to figure out what the best thing we should do was.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The story that I'm hearing right now is very different than what she told me.
Because he's not here.
He had to work.
I don't care whether he had to work or he had to go to Mars. I want you to think about your position a little bit.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Elizabeth Meadows says the daughter she gave up for adoption, Amanda Clegg is responsible for the death of her dog.
This blanket that was on the floor, was it a blanket that had been on the sofa?
Mm-hmm.
In the time that you were living with your mother, did you ever see the golden on that blanket?
Yeah, all the time.
Where was the blanket kept?
On the couch. It was like a throw blanket.
Did the golden ever sleep on the couch?
Yes.
Did the golden ever sleep on the couch?
Occasionally. She usually slept in our room.
Did the golden ever sleep on the couch?
In a year and a half, she probably slept on the couch at some point, yes. But she was not territorial. I believe that you're trying to
I don't know what you want her to pay for.
The story that I'm hearing right now is very different than what she told my husband on the phone.
I don't know what she told your husband on the phone because he's not here.
He had to work.
I don't care whether he had to work or he had to go to Mars. He's not here.
Well, then, Judge, I would like her to pay the money that she admits that she owes me, and I'm happy to provide you paperwork, text messages between us.
If she admits that she owes you money, I'm not ordering her to pay you a penny.
Well, she believes that...
Listen to me. I'm not ordering her to pay you a penny. I want you to think about your position a little bit. If she admits that she owes you money, and sounds to me like a pretty reasonable and responsible person based upon what you told me, you placed her up for adoption because you irresponsibly had a child that you couldn't take care of. You placed that child in a place where you told me she was being abused. Just listen, because I didn't get any of this information from her. I got it from you. And then she came to you, and it really wasn't a good fit, not because of anything she did, because you and your husband were used to living alone.
She did not come to me, Your Honor.
Now, you had a dog, and you had a dog for a year and a half. Before you went on a pre-planned vacation for a day, you got a 2-month-old puppy that you were introducing into a house where you already had a 60-pound dog. Already. And you want her to be responsible for the following things.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Responsible for the following things. Her moving from where she was in this abusive home where she was living because you didn't take care of her. You want her to pay for your hotel room because you left the hotel and came home to take care of the situation with your dog. So you want her to pay for that hotel room. You want her to pay for all the other sort of living expenses that she did before she got a job within 4 weeks of moving to you. And I'm telling you, Miss Meadows, one word. Look at me. Goodbye.
Sorry to feel that way, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
It was just showed a lack of respect towards me, that her not watching the dog and not watching it close enough.
I mean, I'm sad that she really believes that.
It died in her hands, and she takes no responsibility, nor have I ever received